wanted to share with you guys my personal story of how I started out in landscape. I actually started out in lawn care. I was 16, kind of a small truck, small mower, built that up, sold that, then got into heavy into landscaping, built another maintenance company, and then long story short, we built and sold 4 maintenance companies. We did that to get into the landscape supply side of things, so we needed a way to fund the landscape supply activities. Knowing what I know now, obviously I can build up landscape companies very, very quickly and sell them. But one thing I want to talk to you about is that as you build up your landscape company, at some point you're going to go ahead and buy your first machine. And your first machine is a total game changer. Obviously you want that machine to be versatile. We've gone over this before. But it'll allow you to start doing business to business instead of business to consumer. So instead of just mowing Mary's lawn and everybody else's and whatever, maybe you have some commercial accounts, which is fantastic. But once you get into a machine, it'll allow you to potentially start outsourcing or being an outsourced bobcat guy, excavator guy, whatever, to other landscapers. So your current competitors at some point could become your customers. And in my experience and in my opinion, I think that it is much more profitable. The ROI on it is much higher, and I think it's genuinely worth your time more to go business to business and to build up a company rather than spend years and years in the lawn care and landscape side of things. I love landscape, so I love getting out on a project and running a machine, but what we do a lot now is we'll run machines for other guys' landscape projects, and we'll sell the materials. It's tremendously more profitable. It allows me to do 2 or 3 times the revenue with half of the staff, and most of my staff are machines. So they come to work every day, they're tax write-offs, they don't bitch, and the guys that do, a couple of them bitch, when they do, they get sold, they're gone. But and it allows me to attract genuinely better employees. Actually, I can normally grab employees off landscape companies like that, because it's like, you run a mower, you run a landscape crew, awesome. Do you want to move up into machinery? And they're like, heck yeah. So when you get into your first machine, after getting into your first machine, you'll notice that you'll have the opportunity to start being an outsourced bobcat guy. I think that is an excellent segue into moving up and out of the lawn and landscape business. I don't necessarily think you have to move out of the lawn and landscape business. If you've got a really great business and it's profitable and it's well managed, by all means. But I think at some point in every entrepreneur's journey, he or she is going to look for a way to do more with the time that you have. And so if you're in the landscape business, typically what that looks like is moving into machinery, typically. So one thing that I did is, once we bought our first machine, wasn't really sure how well it was going to go. We rented some machines, we found the machine that we wanted to get into, we then started outsourcing, and then from there it just spread like wildfire. So one guy told another guy, and it turns out now we're pretty much really nicely niched in that we work for like 50 to 100 landscape businesses, and we don't necessarily have to deal with homeowners. So the revenue on a landscape business to us can be anywhere from $5,000 a year to $50,000, $60,000 a year is my top customer currently, and I haven't even touched very, very large businesses like Valley Crest or Brickman Group, now merged. Any of those guys, any of the guys in the top 100. So something to think about once you've got your lawn and landscape business going is moving on up into the machine side of things. One of these 2 machines would easily let you do so. Skid steer, mini excavator, either one, kind of depending on your area and what you could do with it. But something to consider, if you're frustrated, if you're having a hard time expanding your business, if you've reached a wall, it may be time to pivot. So a pivot is exactly that, just a change in direction. So typically you go along your entrepreneurial journey, you're going straight ahead, you come into a wall, you try to think a way around it, and most often companies will pivot. This is when they shift. And so for our company, we saw kind of the path down to building a million or multi-million-dollar landscape business, and we're like, even if we got to a $10 million a year landscape business, it's still going to be a difficult business to sell off, and or even run, and margins are going to be there. So for us, we're like, okay, well, segueing into machinery would then, the sky's kind of the limit with machinery. We can start out with a Mini X, a compact loader. We can start out renting these machines, so theoretically you don't even have to start on the lawn and landscape side. You could find a way to get in without even having to start lawn and landscape. Lawn and landscape's excellent because it gives you a source of funding so that you can go ahead and make calculated risks, which is kind of how I've done things. I'll take risks all day, but I like to make calculated risks. And it'll let you then segue up. So from a small Mini X, you might get into pond projects, ditch projects, whatever, and you can always get a bigger machine. You can always rent a bigger machine, and you can continue on like that.